Mute, mute everybody.
Yeah. If I can figure out how to do that.
Cielo. Cielo.
Cielo. It is.
Cielo.
Okay, I'm gonna mute all, and then Jada, you unmute yourself, okay?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I am really excited this evening because the testimonial are some folks that are really close to me, and one of them I didn't know was going to be able to be with us this evening. But Jonathan and Ashley Ariel, my very first training call when I became a coach, I set up with my son and my daughter-in-law. And really more to just share the program, have practice sharing the program with someone. And are y'all getting a reverb on me really bad?
Yeah, there is.
I set up.
Jada, I think it's from you, actually.
Yeah, I don't know why. Is it in better?
Yeah, it's better right now.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with it. It was sounding horrible for me, so I figured it was for you guys as well. Anyway, shared the program with Jonathan and Ashley, and then Steve and I were continuing our program. And a few weeks later, they called us up and said that they were interested in starting the program. And I just want to ask them to share for just a few minutes about their testimonial, their experience with Optavia. So you guys unmute and go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if Ashley was on the original call or not. If I remember correctly, I was the guinea pig. And as she said, my stepfather and mom had obviously had some quick success, so they were starting into the coaching and wanted me to kind of check it out. And at the time, I was, to be perfectly honest with all of you, quite heavy. Was every bit of 260 pounds at 5'11", so well over what I should have been. And that was weight that Ashley and I had, well, I had gained with Ashley as she was pregnant in the year before that, and probably along the way as well. But went through the health assessment call, and the more I listened, the more it was hard to say no. And so after the call, I went and spoke with Ashley, and basically said, "Hey, listen, I think we probably need to do this. Why don't you talk to my mom and see what you think?" And of course, after her health assessment call, we agreed to do it together. The funny part of it was that we were entering into our first COVID lockdown, so it was kind of a perfect opportunity to do the program. We weren't going out to eat anywhere, so it was kind of the perfect opportunity to get started. We were on the 5-in-1 plan for roughly 4 or 5 months, and we both lost 50-ish pounds. We collectively have lost over 100. So we had some extremely good success, and so we've done a little bit of coaching since then. My brother's on the program. He's had some success to begin with, but we've tried to, as we can, kind of evangelize to others that were heavy like us to try to kind of get them on the right track. But now I think we're well into our maintenance and have been able to keep the weight off, thankfully. And I think if you follow the plan, then of course that'll happen. We typically do a 4 and 2, and we'll continue to use some of the Optavia fuelings even now, because some of them are pretty good, as I think we all know. But it's been a real life changer. I mean, I was on blood pressure medication at 32 years old, and since losing the weight, I've been able to come off of that completely. There's a tremendous amount of energy that you get from being on, and fat burn, of course, but just losing the weight makes such a big difference in your everyday life. Ashley's a teacher, and I'll let her kind of give some of her experience. But for me, it just has made a tremendous difference in just being able to get up and down and enjoy my 2-year-old, being able to get back into the gym and actually feel like going to work out. So it's just been a real life changer, and I'm thankful that I didn't resist more than I had previously. But I'll throw it over to Ashley and let her give you some of her experience.
Well, Jonathan basically covered most of it for us, but Optavia has definitely changed our lives. As Jonathan mentioned, we have a 2-year-old, and before, we only had him a couple hours in the evening, and we could keep up with him. But shortly after we were in that first lockdown, I was like, oh, he is a lot, and he is fast. He was only about 1.5 at the time, and I was like, we've got to do something different, because Jonathan was working from home. I was teaching virtually, and at that point, our kids didn't have technology, so it was very difficult. So I was home with Hudson all day, and so I very quickly realized that I needed to make a change just to be able to chase a 1.5-year-old around in the yard. But it's just made a big difference, and we've been able to have more energy and go and do more things with him. We're outside, we go for walks, and get to enjoy being his parents more than we probably normally would have if we continued to be as obese as we were.
Well, and I think something that just occurred to me is that now the real difference, I think, is that now we eat to live rather than live to eat. And once we figured out that you could do that and not really miss out on anything, that was a game changer for us. And I think that a lot of people, if I can speak for the masses, I think a lot of people probably have a similar experience to us. I think, man, am I going to have to restrict myself? And I guess you could look at it that way, but it's more of what am I getting out of this by making this change? And that's really, the mindset difference that we were able to take on as we were going through our 5-1 weight loss was look at all this great stuff we're able to do, even though we're not getting to eat the pizza, once a week, and, all the fast food that we thought was so delicious. Now it's not something that we even really want to eat. And I think on the, as a benefit of it, we get so much more out of life. And I think that's really the key piece of all of this is you get so much more out of life by making a relatively simple change. And if you can get people to buy into that early on, I can't see a reason why they wouldn't have success on Optavia. So that's kind of what we had to say. So we'll throw it back over to my mom.
Yeah. Last night we went to a light display that's here locally up in the mountains, and their 2-year-old wanted to be carried by me. And I was carrying 32 pounds that I think everybody can agree. It's like I've lost way more than 32 pounds, and so have they. But to pick that 32 pounds up and carry it is you start to realize how far you've come and how much better you feel. So I appreciate you guys sharing. And I want to move in and just talk a little bit about, the holidays coming up, and I said on the live earlier, it tends to be a little bit of a stressful time for a lot of people, a very busy time maybe. A little bit about me that I haven't shared before. For the last 35 years, I've either practiced nursing or been a counselor. And in both of those arenas, I've read quite a bit about different neurotransmitters and their effects on people's moods. Um, but recently, I started reading a whole lot more about some neurotransmitters and how they affect our appetite. And I said that it's kind of nature's appetite suppressant, but that's kind of what I wanted to talk a few minutes about tonight. Primarily the neurotransmitters dopamine and serotonin. And you may or may not have heard those terms before. A lot of antidepressants are given that inhibit or how am I trying to say, affect serotonin in somebody's body. Um, but what they also do is they curb appetite. Both of those neurotransmitters curb appetite. And what was interesting to me as I read was that it curbs appetite for high carb foods. You know, a lot of times when we get stressed and we want to eat the junk, it's like those comfort foods. It inhibits the cravings for that type of food. And serotonin can make us feel satisfied even if our stomach is not completely full. So that was kind of interesting to me. And as I read, it talked about a lot of research that has been done on how to naturally cause those neurotransmitters to be released rather than introducing them in a chemical form into somebody's body. What can we do to cause someone to naturally release those neurotransmitters? And what they found was that they're released under some really interesting circumstances. And let me kind of give you some examples. When you visualize a happy moment from memory, it causes the release of those neurotransmitters. When you think about positive experiences that you've had with loved ones or friends, it causes the release of those neurotransmitters. Looking at photos of pets, Enzy's photo, Mitzi. Favorite places, close friends, just photos. So what do all of those situations have in common? Anybody thoughts? Those are all situations where we feel grateful, thankful. And what they found is when you're feeling grateful, when you have gratitude, there those neurotransmitters are released. And the gratitude can either be received or expressed. It can be that I'm expressing gratitude to somebody for something that they did, or it can be that someone's contacted me and they're telling me something that they're thankful for about me. But in either situation, it's causing the release of those feel-good neurotransmitters. Those neurotransmitters also can lower blood pressure, lower risk of depression, phobias, bulimia, alcoholism, just various disorders. We're just made in such a way that feeling grateful is actually good for our health. And I just think that's the coolest thing ever, that we're hardwired that way. You know, I hear people say sometimes, well, it's just hard to feel grateful when I feel so overwhelmed or whatever. And I remember an illustration that I saw years ago about the attitude of a plane. An airplane, they talk about the term attitude means the position of the airplane, nose up or nose down. And that attitude is chosen by the pilot of the aircraft. And you can have all the propulsion going on, all the busyness, all the thrust going forward that you want. But if the attitude of that airplane is in the wrong position, you're going to crash. So, you know, just like with an attitude of an airplane, we can choose our attitude. We can choose where we focus our thoughts. And, you know, we can't choose our circumstances, and that's true. And sometimes circumstances are kind of crappy or they are kind of rough, but we can choose where our mind is focusing. And if we're focusing on the things that we have, the things that we're grateful for, the things that we've enjoyed, then our whole mindset is going to be better. And we're going to cause the release of those neurotransmitters that are in fact going to help us to feel better. How many of you have ever been kind of down in the dumps, depressed, blue, or whatever from just looking in the mirror and realizing how much weight you had gained? Does anybody else have that? I have. I definitely have. So, you know, if we can focus on the things that are bringing gratefulness, and especially at this time of the year when so many people have religious holidays that they're observing, and towards the end of the year and coming into the new year, there's a lot of time for reflection that people have. And it's just a wonderful time to actually begin to exercise this gratitude muscle, to kind of practice it a little bit. So, what I want to do for just a couple of minutes is ask, and if you can, unmute yourself and say, but just say a couple of things that you're grateful for. Obviously, a lot of us, all of us, are probably grateful for this program and for the effect that it's having in our life. But just something that, in your life in general, what are you grateful for this evening?
I'll say I'm grateful that all my family is healthy right now. My parents, who were struggling in the beginning of COVID, are good. They're both 86 years old and they're doing very well. Just health of my family, of all my family. So that's what I'm most grateful for right now.
I'm grateful that I could still work from home, and still have income coming in.
I'm grateful for my husband and for the first people starting to get vaccinated against COVID.
I'm grateful for my health and the well-being and good health of all of my family, my children and grandchildren. And I've tried to support those of my friends who have suffered from COVID, just to give verbal and moral support to them.
Mhm.
Fortunately, it's been mild in most cases.
Anyone else? Here's the question that I would ask you at this point. Just hearing 3 or 4 different people share something that they're grateful for, that they're thankful for, do you feel a little bit of the stress just kind of go, and that's hearing someone else share. Think about how much more profound it is when you're thinking about things that are personal to you. So what I'd like to challenge us to do over these next few days, we've got just a couple more weeks left in 2020, and it has been a very challenging year for most of us. I think pretty much all of us have felt the effects in some way or another. But just over the next couple of weeks, make a gratitude list and revisit that gratitude list and think about, where you are now, how far you've already come, what things and people and experiences you have in your life. And then in light of that, then say, okay, I can do some things here. I've actually accomplished some things on my program. I have met personally, I'm grateful for some of the wonderful people that I've met and befriended, that I've never even had a chance to sit down in a room with yet. But someday, we will. But just to start to set my goals in light of that feeling of that kind of pieced out and relaxed and encouraged, and exercise that gratitude muscle in 2021. There may be more challenges ahead of us. I don't know what 2021 is going to hold, But if we can continue to exercise that, I see something about grateful for so many things, it's hard to choose, and it is. We have very much to be grateful for. And Krista's saying, you know, beginning each day with a grateful heart. If we can get into the habit of beginning the day and ending the day with a little bit more of a positive mindset, then that really will help us as far as our weight loss journey. It'll also help us with our life journey. One of the things that Dr. Anderson talks about in his books, and it's true, is just taking a few minutes to meditate each day, and focus your mind. And this is a wonderful place to focus your mind, to focus your meditation, is what things am I grateful for? What things and what people in my life am I thankful for? What circumstances are going well? Because we have a tendency as people to focus on what the problems are in our lives or what the issues are, and then we forget the 99 things out of 100 that are actually going well. So if you can, you know, make your gratitude list and begin to kind of focus your mind on a little bit more of the gratitude, then let's see how that affects our weight loss journey in this coming weeks and year. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to share or ask?
Can I share something?
Certainly.
Thank you. So my husband hates when I do this, but I do it every day. The question is that around the dinner table or when he comes home, tell me something good that happened in your day. Because it used to be, I know Edna's laughing because it's her son, but it used to be way early on in our marriage, how was your day? And then of course we would get the fine. And then he would kind of go into a whole tirade of all the negative things that happened and all the idiots in the world. So that was not a good way to have, be sitting around. So it would be like, okay, tell me something good that happened in your day. Because we start with the positive, we may get to the negative, but at least we start with the positive and we get something. And even if he says, well, so-and-so showed up. Okay, well, there's a positive. Whatever. Anyway, so tell me something good that happened in your day, because that's a way to start to feel grateful for something good. And so that's a question you can ask your kids. And it's the tell me, it's the open-ended, so that you just don't get how was.
Yeah. That's a great suggestion. Anyone else? Well, let's try that. And I think that's an awesome suggestion that Mitzi's made of, try that at the dinner table tomorrow night and have that conversation. I think that's great. All right. Well, I will turn it over to Chris, aka Jennifer. And I guess Mitzi, I was going to say, if Mitzi will post the Zoom at 8:30, then I'd love for you to be able to join the Habits of Health call.
Thanks, Mitzi. I was gonna try to figure out how to do that, but Mitzi did it. Yay! Oh,
I think you're getting the reverb from me again too. I've muted myself a second ago, but she's also put on dream boards and vision boards. We've done those in this group before. Get those back out. And something that's been interesting for me is to look on my dream board. My dreams used to be rather small, and a lot of my dreams that I had last year have kind of come about.
okay.
Vision boards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you're not Jada, you need to mute yourself. And then can you mute yourself?
A lot of my dreams.
Where is that coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have
Yep, same here.
devices on?
Amazing.
I think we're all muted now. One thing I wanted to say about vision boards is I made one when I started coaching out to VIA. And one of the things I can cross off my vision board is I have a brand new, beautiful walk-in shower with a beautiful glass shower door. That was the first thing on my vision board, and it was finished today, and it's beautiful. Vision boards work, so you all know that. That's all I'm gonna say, and I don't know where that feedback's coming from, but I'm muting myself.
I think it's Chris. I think it's you. I think it's Chris, AKA Jennifer. Chris, can you mute yourself? Well, you know what? Jada, can you mute yourself?
I did.
Edna, can you mute? Never mind. You should probably all just say good
Is it me?
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. Everyone have a good night.
Good night, everyone. I don't know what's going on. It was great, Jada. You did wonderful.
Yes.